Hey, what's up, everybody? This is your Raw review show for Monday, January 17th. Tonight on the show, the Usos show up and jump Seth Rollins. Vince McMahon threatens to beat up Austin Theory, and Doudrop botches the finish. Doudrop. Dubotch. I like Doudrop, but not her night tonight. Little botcheroony on the finish. Welcome, everybody, to the show. Thank you for joining me here tonight. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, do all the things. If you have not already, become a member. We need as many members as we can get. And we will start accepting call-ins from members only. So if you want to call into the show, there you go. Antoinette is a member. Thank you, Antoinette. If you want to call into the show, you will have to become a member to do so. And that will be coming, I think, soon at some point. I know people were asking. Angelo was asking. A couple people were asking. Shout out to Silent by Deadly watching. I see you in the chat. Thank you to everybody tuning in live here to the WWE Raw Review Show on the Ringside Report Network. I'm rolling solo again tonight. My brother should be back with me next week. He was exposed to someone who was exposed to someone with COVID, so we're playing it safe, and he's not coming around for a couple of days to make sure that he doesn't have symptoms, and then we should have him back next week. Thought we were going to have him back tonight after a couple of weeks with curfew here in the province of Quebec, but unfortunately he was exposed to somebody who was exposed to somebody with COVID, so, you know. But we are making it through. We are talking about Monday Night Raw. We are, what, a week away, week and a half away from the Royal Rumble now? Not this Saturday. This Saturday is UFC 270 and Ngannou versus Gane. Le Bon Gamin about to beat up Francis Ngannou coming up on Saturday. But next Saturday is the Royal Rumble. It is a Saturday, by the way. Not a Sunday, Saturday, the 29th of January. Yeah. Yes, Franco, I agree. Damn the Deltacron. Is that what we're calling it now? Is that the new name? Do we have a new one? I thought it was still Omicron. I don't know. I think we should call the next variant Doudrop. I think that would be fun. Doudrop had a little bit of a rough night tonight. Hard to pick a match of the night. I'd say probably the main event, which we will get to. The main event was Bobby Lashley and Seth Rollins. A solid match that ended by disqualification due to Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander jumping Bobby. Match of the night, though, still. Despite the finish, I thought Seth and Bobby had the best in-ring working match of the night. Other matches we saw tonight, Doudrop. Whoa. Thank you. Other matches we saw tonight on Raw, Doudrop and Becky Lynch got the win over Liv Morgan and Bianca Belair. A lot of promos tonight. Kevin Owens did beat Damian Priest after a stunner. That match was pretty good, too. Kevin Owens got the 1-2-3 pinfall victory over the current United States champion Damian Priest tonight in a non-title match. So maybe something there. Austin Theory beat Finn Balor. That match was pretty good, too. That was actually a solid match. Theory and Balor look alike. Omos beat Reginald. That was not a match, but it happened. I mean, it was technically a match, but it was one move. Mysterios and the Street Profits beat Apollo Crews, Commander Aziz, and Dolph Ziggler, and Robert Roode. Montez Ford getting the pinfall on Apollo Crews. And the main event, Bobby Lashley over Seth Rollins by disqualification when Shelton and Cedric, who Bobby had kicked out of the Hurt Business, didn't want to be associated with them anymore, told them the Hurt Business was over. However, they're still wearing Hurt Business t-shirts, Cedric and Shelton, and the commentary team still calling them the Hurt Business. I guess just easier than calling them Shelton and Cedric. They jump Bobby towards the end of the match. Well, it was the end of the match, right? Because the ref saw it and rang the bell. Bobby takes out Cedric Alexander, though. He got beat up by two guys, but these guys, they're just jabronis to him. So he throws Cedric, and then he speared Shelton through the barricade. Bobby didn't take much of a beating before fighting back on those guys. The Usos then hit the ring as Seth was looking at Bobby and the crash through the barricade. Usos hit the ring, from behind on Seth Rollins, and they double super kick Seth, of course, because Seth Rollins at the Rumble will be taking on their cousin, the tribal chief, the head of the table, Roman Reigns, for that Universal Championship. That was the main event. I would call it match of the night. Solid work from Bobby and Seth. Finish, but Seth working Bobby's leg in the match was really good. He did a really nice leg whip thing into a half crab that Bobby sold very well, that looked nasty as well. Really good stuff there from Seth Rollins and Bobby Lashley. I thought they worked well together. Seth hit a pedigree. Bobby kicked out at 2. Good match. I liked Seth and Bobby, and it was interesting because you didn't know where the WWE was going to go here. Both of these guys are challenging for belts next week, so you don't really want to have them take a loss gearing up for, Bobby's gearing up for Brock, and Seth is gearing up for Roman. They're gearing up for the 2 biggest guys in the company, the 2 biggest names possibly in all of the wrestling business, so you want to keep them strong on Raw tonight. So booking them in the main event against each other I thought was an odd move, but the way they did it, the way they got out of it, I thought was very smart and very good. Like a DQ finish is never something you need, but it's Raw. It's not a pay-per-view. There wasn't anything on the line here. It's not like Seth and Bobby were wrestling for some sort of prize that they now have to settle next week. They had a match. There wasn't a clear finish. Bobby won by disqualification technically, but, Seth didn't cause a disqualification. It was outside interference, so both guys wind up looking strong. Bobby looking a bit stronger, I guess, than Seth, though, because Bobby, despite the fact he got attacked by Shelton and Cedric, he fought them off, and then he speared Shelton through the barricade, and that's what kind of took him out momentarily. We didn't see Bobby again after that, but he did an offensive move. Seth was left laying at the end of the show by the Usos, who kicked him in the face. So Seth did lose the match, and he did get kicked in the face. I think Seth is probably going to wind up beating Roman, though, for the belt at the Rumble. More and more, I'm convinced of that. Doug Hepburn says we're calling it Kenny McCormickron. I like it. Doug does not want to call in. He says he's horrible speaking live, and he wants more impressions tonight. Doug loves the impressions. Well, Vince was on the show tonight, Doug, so I definitely will be talking about Vince and his impressions. Shout out to Doug. Shout out to Lauren. Shout out to Sebastian, watching over on Facebook. Always doing it. Always taking care of business here on the Ringside Report Network. We've got Raw. Next week's Raw is the go-home show of Raw for the Royal Rumble. I mean, come on. This is the best time of the year to be a pro wrestling fan, especially a WWE fan. If you like the WWE at all, and, I kind of do. I mean, some of it I like, right? No AJ Styles on the show tonight. No Big E on the show tonight. 2 of the main guys that I like to watch on Raw were not booked. I don't know where they were. Strange not to see Big E on the show. Like, former WWE champion, Now he's just not there. I don't know why Big E wasn't there. I don't know why AJ Styles wasn't there. They were both big parts of the show last week. Tonight, no one mentioned them. Nothing. It was a bit weird. A lot of Seth. A lot of Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens wasn't on the show last week, but I think he was exposed to COVID, so that's why he wasn't there. But tonight he returned, and he had a big night, a promo, long promo, and a pretty good amount of time for a match as well with Damian Priest. Kevin Owens with an in-ring promo for the Kevin Owens Show. He introduced his best friend Seth freaking Rollins. Seth freaking. Owens says Seth will beat Roman at the Rumble and be the next Universal Champion. Owens talking about how much he admires Seth and putting Seth over is so great and so awesome, and he loves Seth. And it seems genuine. And Seth is kind of like taken aback by how nice Kevin Owens is being to him, which seems to be the theme here with this Kevin Owens character. Like, he's trying to be a nice guy and nobody believes it, but it does seem like he's genuinely being a nice guy, except for with Damian Priest. Like, he was kind of messing with him. But with Seth, it does seem like Kevin has like a love for Seth in this current incarnation of his character. So Kevin says, if Roman is head of the table, Seth is the one that set the table. And Seth says when he wins the Universal title, he's going to bring it back to Monday Night Raw, which I thought was telling. I thought that was an interesting little tidbit in the promo. Seth saying, look, when I win the title at the Rumble, I'm bringing it back to Raw. And then Owens says, okay, then we won't need Brock Lesnar or Bobby Lashley or any of those guys as WWE champion. And Seth's like, no, they can go somewhere else. I think that little bit right there was all you really needed to know. That nugget in the promo was the most important bit. Seth Rollins saying, when I win the Universal title, I'm bringing it back to Raw. And then Kevin Owens adding, oh, and Brock Lesnar or Bobby Lashley, whoever's WWE champion, Brock Lesnar, they won't have to be on Raw anymore, so they could go to SmackDown and have a feud with Roman Reigns, right? I mean, he didn't say that explicitly, but he said, then we won't need Brock or Bobby or a WWE champion because we'll have Seth here on Raw. I think they're trying to tell you something. I think they're trying to set it up where, yeah, that'll be the deal. When Seth does win the Universal title off Roman, they're going to put that Universal title on Raw, probably switch it from blue to red, right? They have that blue belt for Roman. It'll probably go back to red for Seth on Raw. And then Brock Lesnar as WWE champion is going to move over to SmackDown and continue his program with Roman Reigns. That seems to be the most logical booking right now for the WWE. I think that's where they're headed, especially the way commentary just went over and over, just went above and beyond to tell you tonight, Seth has no chance of beating Roman Reigns. Damian Priest was there, and he was like, oh, Seth Rollins has no chance. Nobody believes that you have a chance. Even though in every title match that Seth and Roman have actually had in the WWE, Seth has won, right? So there is like a history in the WWE of, yeah, well, Seth does kind of beat Roman a lot of the times. And Seth is telling you that, and Kevin's telling you that, but the commentary and everybody around, they're like, Seth has no chance, right? Because they're trying to make you believe that Seth has no chance because it's Roman Reigns. And they're trying to make Bobby and Brock seem like they're on equal footing, which, I don't think so. I could be wrong. Johnny thinks I'm wrong. Johnny North, my main man, he believes that Bobby will be the one winning a title at the Royal Rumble. I believe that it will be Seth winning it from Roman. I think a title does change hands, though, at the Royal Rumble. I'm guessing it'll be Seth Rollins beating Roman, but maybe they don't want to beat Roman at all. It's possible. Kevin Owens announced that he's officially in the Royal Rumble match, and when he wins the Rumble, they can give the people the main event of WrestleMania that they really want, Kevin Owens versus new Universal Champion Seth Rollins, and Seth seems happy with that. Damian Priest showed up and says, you're delusional idiots. No one believes Seth can beat Roman, and no one believes Kevin Owens will win the Rumble. Kevin Owens, you're a liar. You're not going to win the Rumble. All right. I mean, a lot of people say they're going to win the Rumble. Pretty much everybody that announces they're going to enter the Rumble, after they announce that, they say they are going to win the Rumble. Everybody. Right? We've been seeing these promos constantly. But Damian Priest is like, you're lying, Kevin Owens. You're not going to win. It's like everybody says that, man. Everybody's trying to, go tell, Dana Brooke she's not going to win the Women's Rumble. You going to take exception to that, Damian Priest? Anyways, I don't think Kevin Owens is going to win the Rumble. Although Kevin versus Seth at Mania for the belt would make a lot of sense and would be pretty good. I think that story would work. I think the program would be good. I think the match would be good. You know, they had a match a couple of years ago at the COVID Rumble in front of 0 fans. The match was very good. I think they got robbed of the opportunity of being in front of fans, right? It was really bad times, the COVID WrestleMania, right? When COVID hit and they had to do Mania, so they did it in front of nobody at the Performance Center. It was awful. But Seth and Kevin wrestled there, and it was a very good match. Giving them a match in front of fans for the belt would not be a bad move, especially the way Kevin and Seth have been kind of friends and, you know, the way they've been now. I would love to see Kevin Owens win the Royal Rumble. He just signed a new contract with the WWE. He's an excellent talent in the ring, on the microphone. He can get the job done. Why not have Kevin Owens win the Rumble? I think of all the options, like Kevin Owens, Big E, maybe AJ Styles, I think it's going to be somebody from Raw. Because Brock and Roman seems like the match to make for Mania. I think Roman is probably going to have to win some sort of match at Elimination Chamber to have the right to face Brock at Mania, which is going to be so dumb because we know beforehand, Roman's going to win this, right? But I think that's the way it's going to go down. But of all the options that I'm thinking of for Rumble winners, Big E, I don't know if WWE is going to go back to Big E. I think it would be good, but I don't know if they do it. AJ Styles, he just turned babyface. But he lost to Omos as soon as he turned babyface. He's got some wins since then, but I don't know if they see AJ Styles as a Rumble winner right now. And, Kevin Owens, I think, is probably the best option. I think Kevin Owens should win the Royal Rumble this year. I really hope he does. Kevin and Seth, that makes sense to me. Kevin he'll probably have a U.S. title match, though, right? I think Kevin maybe takes the U.S. title from Damian Priest. He did beat him tonight. Kevin was backstage with Damian Priest earlier in the night. There was a lot of talking tonight. A lot of talking. Edge and Beth Phoenix are backstage with Reginald and Dana Brooke for some reason. Edge says he doesn't think Reggie has a chance tonight against Omos. And Beth tells Dana how much she loves what she's been doing and she watches her all the time, and Dana's great. And then Reggie and Dana have to leave, and Edge and Beth walk over to Damian Priest. And Edge tells Damian that he loves what he's been doing lately, and he's awesome, puts him over. And Priest asks Edge how to win the Royal Rumble, because Edge has won a couple. And Edge tells him, well, you just keep being you, man. You keep doing you, and that's how you do it. It's like, yeah, well. He's like, cardio's important, but most importantly, keep being you. That's how you win a Royal Rumble. That is not concrete advice, Mr. Copeland. Beth is handed a note from just a disembodied arm. There was no person behind that. It was just an arm came out with a note. And the note is from Maurice, who wants Beth to meet her in the ring by herself. But Edge doesn't trust it, so he's going to come with Beth to the ring. And then they walk away, Edge and Beth, and Damian Priest is still there, and then Kevin Owens shows up. So this started with Edge and Beth and Reginald and Dana backstage. Reggie and Dana walk away. Edge and Beth go up, talk to Damian. Edge and Beth walk away. Now Damian's there, and here comes Kevin Owens. It was a very, just a revolving door of characters in this strange promo. And then Kevin Owens shows up and tells Damian Priest that he's looking forward to their match later, and he wants to have a good, clean match, friendly competition. He doesn't want Priest to get out of control or do the snap thing because, Damian Priest has been snapping and going crazy on people and losing control and just being really violent, and Kevin Owens doesn't want that to happen. And then they have their match, and Kevin Owens at one point chops Damian Priest, and Priest looks like he's about to snap, but Kevin's calming him down and telling him to cool out and be cool. Kevin hit a nice senton from the top rope. Priest hit a really good choke slam on Kevin Owens as well. And then off the chokeslam, Kevin sold like a hamstring injury. He said he was hurt, told the ref like, oh, my hamstring's hurt. And then the ref calls like a trainer or doctor over to check on Kevin in the ring. And Damian Priest got a little too close to Kevin Owens, who was playing possum, kicked him in the gut, hit him with the stunner. 1, 2, 3, Kevin Owens wins. So Kevin was saying, oh, we'll have a nice, clean match. He was, messing with Damian Priest a little bit because in the end he played possum and cheated to win a little bit. Good match, though. I liked it. I like Kevin Owens getting a win. Not a clean win, but he's kind of, bad guy, cheating bad guy. So it's what he's supposed to do. Solid match, though. Damian Priest is great. Kevin Owens is great. Very talented group right now on Raw. Some very good wrestlers. Edge, Kevin Owens, Damian Priest. Right? I mean, we're seeing some real talent. Raw was not a bad show tonight. Again, it was a decent show. They got things done. They accomplished a few things as far as the booking and the storyline progression. Not as much as they accomplished last week, though. This week was a little bit stale. Like Bobby and Seth wrestled, but at the end, what really changed with Brock and Bobby or Seth and Roman? Not much. Alexa Bliss had another thing, like nothing changed there. Alexa Bliss is at her psychiatrist's office. She trashed the office last week, and the doctor says there's less breakable stuff there this week. Alexa's like, oh, I'm not sure about that, like kind of threatening him, I guess. And then the psychiatrist asks her to do word association. He says trust, and Alexa goes Lily, which was the name of her doll. And the doctor goes, friend, and she goes, Lily. Doctor goes, doll, she goes, Lily, you're getting the point here. And then the doctor goes, imaginary, and Alexa gets up, and she's all mad, and the doctor gets scared for some reason, and says, okay, that's all the time we have, even though the session lasted like a minute. And he leaves, afraid. And then it looks like Alexa's going to do something, but she just kind of sits down and does her creepy smile. And that was that. So no real progression with Alexa Bliss. I think Miz and Maurice with Edge and Beth, I mean, I don't know. They still don't like each other, and they're still wrestling at the Rumble. Nothing really moved. Austin Theory progressed, I guess. Alpha Academy, they're still doing a thing with RK Bro. What changed tonight on Raw? I feel like things happened, but it was just mostly promos, hype for the Rumble, which is what you got to do now, I guess. But it wasn't terrible. Like, it was not a show that I did not enjoy. It was, fine for the most part. It wasn't the best Raw, but it wasn't the worst. There was nothing that offensive on this show. Nothing that lasted a long time was noticeably bad. All the matches were good, and most of the promos were good. It's not like you have to change the world every week, right? It was just, solid promos, solid matches. Becky Lynch started the show with a promo, talked about people wanting wanting to win the Rumble to face her at WrestleMania. Becky says she gave Doudrop a taste of the big time at the Rumble by helping her win the match last week. And the fans, they didn't want Doudrop to get the title match. Doudrop didn't earn the title match. Becky gave her that title match. And she says Doudrop will never be champion as long as Becky runs this industry. Doudrop comes out and says she got herself the title match at the Rumble. She won the match, and that was all her. And Doudrop says, if you chose to face me instead of Bianca Belair, it's going to be a big mistake for you at the Rumble. Bianca Belair comes out, and then she says, you can't spell greatest without EST, which, obviously some fans were into it. Bianca says she's officially entering the Royal Rumble, and she intends on winning. Liv Morgan shows up, and she says she's also entering the Royal Rumble, and she will win. Damian Priest better show up and say, hey, one of you two are lying, right? Anyways, Doudrop says Liv Morgan is boring, and she wants to start the tag team match, playa, because this promo was to set up a tag team match. That's why Becky was wearing her wrestling gear to do the promo. Doudrop and Becky beat Liv Morgan and Bianca. Now, the match was not terrible, but the finish was kind of a mess. Angelo saying it's rare that you give such praise to a Raw episode. I mean, that's true, I guess, but in the past few weeks, Raw has been getting better. You know, all year, I would say. The past 3 weeks of Raw have been better. Since day one, Raw has improved. There's been a lot of Brock Lesnar on the show. I think Brock was on the show last week and the week before. So that helps. Raw has definitely improved in the past couple of weeks because we're building towards the Rumble, which builds to WrestleMania, which is the biggest show of the year. So, you know, it's big things are happening right now. Wasn't a terrible episode of Raw. Wasn't a classic by any stretch. But, you know, it was fine. The finish of this match was not that great. Yes, Veer is still coming. I'm seeing that question there from Sebastian. Veer is still coming. They aired a Veer promo package, so at some point he will show up. I don't know when, but Veer Venus is coming. Where he's coming, I don't know. Apparently to Raw, but you can make your own decisions about what that means. Doudrop and Becky Lynch beat Liv and Bianca. So Becky hits her rock bottom on Liv Morgan. Doudrop decides to stop the pinfall and prove to Becky that she's the one, because Becky was telling Doudrop, let me show you how to win, and I'll lead us to victory, and you just follow my lead, stuff like that. So Doudrop got upset with Becky because they're going to wrestle at the Rumble for the title. Doudrop stops the pinfall, which didn't cause a disqualification because Doudrop is Becky's partner. You know, fine. So Becky hits Liv with her finisher. She has Liv beat. Doudrop interrupts the cover, attacks Becky. Drags Becky into the corner, leaves her there, goes back to cover Liv Morgan, and the ref tells her, you're not legal. Doudrop was supposed to exit the ring with Becky's unconscious body as she's holding her hand, and then make the tag, right? So what happened was, when the ref says, you're not legal, Doudrop goes back to Becky, who's still laying there in the corner. Doudrop goes back to Becky, goes on the apron. Becky has to raise her arm so Doudrop can tag it, even though Becky's, like, unconscious. Becky raises her arm, and Doudrop kind of grabs it to make it seem like Becky's still out, but it was obvious at that point. Then she makes a tag, then she gets back into the ring, then she hits like a little splash on Liv and pins her. I don't understand how that happened. Does Doudrop not know that you can't make a tag while you're both in the ring? How does she not know that? You can't. How do you not know? When Doudrop dragged Becky into the corner, and then she let her go, and then she went to pin Liv, I was like, well, you're not legal. What are you doing? And then she had to go back on the apron, grab Becky, tag her, and then go back and do the pin. It was just an obvious huge mistake from Doudrop that Liv Morgan had to just lay there and sell for, which felt like forever. I mean, she's selling Becky's finish. Becky has hit her with a rock bottom. Liv is down. Becky goes to cover Liv. Doudrop interrupts the cover. Liv is still selling this whole time. Doudrop drags Becky into the corner, goes to cover Liv again, who's still selling the rock bottom that happened like 5 minutes ago at this point. The ref's like, no, Doudrop, you can't cover her now. You're not legal. Doudrop goes back out of the ring, tags Becky, comes back into the ring. Liv is still down. Doudrop does a little splash, 1, 2, 3. Did not make Liv Morgan look very good. Not only did Becky have her clean done, but after that, she was like, out. Did not make Liv Morgan look very good. Botched finish from Doudrop. So obvious. You can't have big, obvious mistakes like that on live television. It was just... I can understand messing up a move because it's a complicated move or whatever. You slip, you fall. This was just a mental mistake. This is just Doudrop not realizing or not knowing. I don't know. I don't know what happened. She must know that you can't make a tag that way. Can't tag your partner if you're both in the ring. You got to be on the apron. You're not the legal person. Anyhow, Doudrop hit a bonsai drop on Becky after the match. Doug Hepburn wants to know, is Doudrop riffraff? I don't think Doudrop is riffraff. This is the thing. I don't want to say too many bad things about Doudrop because I like her. I think she's a good wrestler. I just don't understand how she made this mistake tonight. And it just looked so bad. Because when you're watching it, you see her go to the corner and then go to pin Liv, and you're like, what are you doing? You can't do that. And then the ref is like, no, you can't do that. And she's like, oh, shit. And then she goes back on the apron, does a thing, comes back in the ring. And, it takes a while because she's not known for her speed. You know what I mean? It took a while. She's powerful. She can cut a promo. She's a good wrestler. She's solid. Her stuff looks good. However, the finish of that match was messed up in a big way. Big time by Doudrop. Made Liv Morgan look bad. I don't know where Bianca Belair went. She got knocked out of the ring by Doudrop. She just disappeared afterwards. Bianca says she's going to win the Rumble this year. I don't think so. The Women's Rumble is a tough one to pick. I could see it going to a legend like Lita or Nikki Bella or something like that. Nikki Bella could easily win the Women's Rumble. Don't kid yourself. I think the Women's Rumble could really be interesting with, what they do and how they do it. Charlotte Flair is a SmackDown champion. She's going to be in the Rumble. Is Becky Lynch going to be? Oh, no, she can't be because she's wrestling Doudrop, right? I guess she still could be, but I don't think she will be. Somebody announced for the Rumble. Bianca Belair and Liv Morgan, right, and Kevin Owens. I don't think I see Sebastian saying that Doudrop is the female Otis. I don't think so. I think they're very, very different performers. Otis is a different type of animal. Otis is the man. I think Doudrop is fine, but Otis is like I think he's a top-level performer. He was great tonight. Like, the Alpha Academy segment is a segment that is designed for you to hate. It was the Alpha Academy graduation ceremony. So they won the tag team titles last week from Randy and Riddle. And this week, they have a graduation ceremony. And normally, a segment like this, a graduation ceremony where the new tag team champions come out dressed in caps and gowns like they're graduating from high school or whatever. Normally, you would say, this is ridiculous, this is awful, but Chad Gable pulled it off. Chad Gable was Kurt Angle-esque in this promo. He was excellent. This guy can do it all. He was seriously disrespected with that Shorty G gimmick. And I'm glad that he's finally been given some respect here with the Alpha Academy with Otis. Gable says he's an Olympian with a master's degree who got it with a 4.0 GPA, and people are booing him. And he says, don't boo education, that's gross. Gable says the odds of anyone in Oklahoma having a master's degree or even graduating high school are slim to none. Good little promo from Gable. He tells the fans to shoosh, not shush. Shoosh. I liked it. Shoosh. Just the little things that Gable was saying. He was funny. He was condescending. He was terrific. Talks about how proud he is of Otis, who decimated the morons of RK Bro last week. Gable says Otis has no last name that we know of. Gable talking about Otis. He's like, Otis, who has no last name that we know of. And Otis is like, I don't have a last name. It's like, what? Not even Otis knows his own last name. Gable's trying to give this guy a diploma, and he's like, it's Otis something. I don't know. We don't know. He doesn't have a last name. I'm Chad Gable. He's just Otis. Otis doesn't even know. Holy shit. That scared me. Thank you, Harold. What did you do? Thank you. Riddle comes out. Matt Riddle comes out. Dressed also in a cap and gown. Otis says that anyone who messes with them can expect pure carnage after receiving the diploma for graduating Alpha Academy. I don't know. Maybe he's in a next level of Alpha Academy. I'm not really sure. But Otis has graduated. This was Otis's graduation ceremony. But it didn't really make sense because Gable and Otis were wearing the same gowns. It seemed like Gable was also graduating, but Gable was the one doing the promo and presenting the diploma to Otis. But like Gable didn't seem to get a diploma, but he was wearing the robe. Why is he wearing the gimmick if he's... I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Riddle came out also dressed in the robe thing. Riddle had a prepared speech and started going on and on about Randy Orton and how much he loves Randy. And then Gable cut him off because it was going nowhere. This Riddle promo was terrible. Riddle dragged this promo down. But Gable, fantastic. Gable wants Riddle to get to the point and say he wants a rematch because, you know, he knows what he's there for. And Riddle's like, yeah, that's a good idea, man. And Gable says Riddle has to prove himself in an academic challenge because he's not smart enough to deserve a rematch. Which does make sense. Like, they should have to go through some hoops to get a rematch because Alpha Academy beat them clean in a non-title, and then they got a title match, and then they beat them clean again. Like, they're done with RK Bro. Those guys suck compared to Alpha Academy. Riddle starts talking, and then Otis goes after Riddle on the ramp, which allows Randy Orton to show up behind Gable in the ring and hit him with the RKO. And then Riddle did this weird running kick leg lariat thing on Otis near the apron to stop him from getting in the ring, and it looked kind of rough on Otis. And then Riddle put Otis's cap and gown on Randy, and Randy got on the mic and said that they accept the rematch. So I don't think there is a rematch. Maybe it's at the Rumble. I don't really know when the rematch will be or if there is a match because they announced for next week on Raw the academic challenge, not a match. Alpha Academy and RK Bro in an academic challenge. That could go terribly wrong. Like, Gable was able to pull this one off. He was given a lot of time in the ring to do a promo to give Otis a diploma, and he managed to make it good. Riddle dragged it down, and now with Riddle and Randy in some sort of academic challenge next week, it could go terribly wrong. So we'll see. But that's next week. Tonight, Gable did well. Gable did very well. He can wrestle. He's an Olympian. He's got a master's degree. I mean, his promo says it all. He's great in the ring. He's great on the mic. He's fantastic. He's everything you'd want. Big fan of Chad Gable. Harold Schneider dropping a super chat. Thumbs up. Thumbs up to you. Chills for a child? What does that mean? I get chills. I still get chills when I hear that music. Rest in peace, Macho Man, Doug Hepburn says. Oh, yeah. Yeah, they did play that Macho Man music when Alpha Academy came out, because it's also the graduation song, right? But when you hear that song in a wrestling contest, you think, ooh, yeah, dig it. Macho Madness, yeah. That's for you, Doug. There you go. You wanted an impression? I don't bust out the Macho Man very often. I don't bust out the Macho Man impression very often, but sometimes I pull it out and freak out. Yeah. Where is Elizabeth? I like that part. That's my favorite part of the Macho Man. Yeah. When he would say that after like a sentence. Macho Man's gonna beat up Diamond Dallas Page, Yeah! Monday Nitro! Okay, Nikki Ash interviewed backstage. She says Rhea Ripley is the reason that their team broke up, and Rhea is the villain, not Nikki, and Nikki is the closest. The people of Tulsa will ever have to a superhero. A lot of Tulsa jokes, a lot of Tulsa hate in the promos tonight. Nikki says she is the people's hero, which I think could work. The people's hero, you know, kind of like the people's champ. She's like acting like a hero, and she's the superhero that all the people want, but she's a heel. I think that's good. I think that could work for Nikki. Carmella and Zelina show up before Rhea and Nikki have a match. So Rhea versus Nikki was supposed to happen tonight. It did not. Carmella and Zelina cut a promo. They're the new tag team champions, of course, taking it from Rhea and Nikki. They tell Rhea that they should be thanking them for getting rid of Nikki for her and breaking up their tag team. Nikki then attacked Rhea Ripley while she was distracted by Zelina and Carmella. Nikki beats up on Rhea for a while, and Nikki then tosses Rhea Ripley into the ring steps and walks away, and the match just never winds up happening.
Super chat, super chat, super chat.
So that happened. No match, but Nikki attacks Rhea. Doug likes the, thank you, Doug, dropping a super chat. You're the super chat leader right now. He says, that was great, Dave. Doug liked the Macho Man impression. Thank you, Doug. So that was Rhea Ripley and Nikki Ash. What else happened on Raw? Oh, Vince. Let's talk about Vince. Vince McMahon is in his office with Austin Theory again. And Vince talks about how Austin Theory lost to Finn Balor in the last match that he had. And Theory says, yeah, but I beat up Finn after the match, so it's kind of like a half victory. And Vince says, there are no half victories. It's mumbly Vince now. There are no half victories. Pal. Vince says Finn has to be beat tonight and then beat up by Austin Theory. You're going to beat him tonight and then you're going to beat him up. And if you don't, I'm going to beat you up. That's right. Vince said that if Austin Theory does not beat Finn and then beat him up after the match, Vince himself was going to beat up Austin Theory. And Theory was like, huh? What? You're going to what? And Vince says, yeah, I'm going to have you dragged to my office and I'm going to break your bones. And then he says he's going to go for the face and leave nothing but blood, snot, and broken teeth. And then I'm going to take a selfie and send it to your mom. I was like, what the fuck? What? Vince said, he's going to leave Austin Theory's face nothing but a mess of blood, snot, and broken teeth. And then Vince is going to take a selfie like Austin Theory does, and then he's going to send it to Austin Theory's mother. And that was the promo. I think Austin Theory was motivated because he did beat Finn Balor in the match. I was disappointed. I wanted to see Vince just beat the hell out of Austin Theory. I think that this would have been a great time for Vince to go completely insane. I mean, this is a guy who, when he was lucid, not the current mumbly madman Vince that we see today, but, the boisterous Mr. McMahon, pal. Like, that guy had people kiss his bare ass on TV. His employees, people that, not employees, independent contractors, but people he was paying. JR might have been an employee because he was talent relations too. Jim Ross, when he kissed the ass, might have been an employee. He must have been, right? Because he was in the office. I guess employees and independent contractors, because Regal kissed his butt too on TV. So if Vince is willing, when he's lucid and of, sound mind for Vince, what else is he willing to do when he's like, in his 70s and a little bit crazy? I thought he might actually beat up Austin Theory. I like the threat. I like the threat from Vince saying, you know what, I'm going to beat you up, Austin Theory. And Austin Theory doesn't say, well, that's ridiculous. You're an old man, and I'm an in-shape man in my early 20s. Like, that's not going to happen. Austin Theory actually looked afraid because he knows, like, if Vince tries to attack him, what's he going to do? Is he going to attack Vince? That's not going to end well for him in his wrestling career. I wanted to see this as one final moment of Vince, like the real Vince, just losing his mind, where tomorrow people go, damn, do you see Raw last night? Vince McMahon, old-ass Vince, actually just beat the shit out of one of those young wrestlers. He just, bludgeoned a guy. Yeah, he has to resign. It's over, He's done. I don't know. WWE stock prices are going way down. Something went wrong here. I don't know. I think Vince has got some sort of brain disease. That's what I wanted to see happen. I wanted to see it all fall apart tonight on Raw because it would have been fun. Everybody likes a car crash. I think also Vince probably could have got away with it. I think Vince could have got away with, like, punching Austin Theory in the face, punching him in the nose, punching him in the eyes, punching him in the chin to the point where he got some blood on Austin Theory. And then Vince could have taken a selfie and sent it to Austin Theory's mother. And I think Vince could have got away with it and still gone on back to the offices in Connecticut tomorrow, business as usual, and been fine. Yeah. Doug Hepburn making a good point. WWE criticized AEW for their bloody women's match, but Vince says he's going to do that to Austin Theory. Yeah. I mean, he didn't actually do it on TV, though, right? That's the difference. He talks about it. It's different. Difference between talking about it and doing it. Yeah, what was that? WWE said something. They released a statement to the Toronto Star about something. This is the quote from the WWE to the Toronto Star. If you look at the gory self-mutilation that bloodied several women in the December 31st event on TNT, it quickly becomes clear that these are very different businesses. We had an edgier product in the Attitude Era, and in a 2022 world, we don't believe that type of dangerous and brutal display is appealing to network partners, sponsors, venues, children, or the general public as a whole. I don't know if they're wrong. I think the categorization of gory self-mutilation that bloodied several women, I mean, I think only 2 of them were bleeding. And yeah, it was a bit gory, I guess, and Yeah, self-mutilation. They were using razor blades to the forehead to produce that blood. I don't know if I'm giving away a big secret there, but it's called blading, and people do it, and that's what Ty Conti and the Bunny did to get all that blood that was coming out of their heads. But this is something that has been done in wrestling forever and is still done in the WWE from time to time. So for the WWE to get on their high horse and say, oh my God, it was gory self-mutilation, and how, we run two very different businesses, and they're, down here, and we're classy, and yeah. I mean, AEW does do a lot more hardcore deathmatch style wrestling than WWE, but it doesn't mean that they're any better than, AEW. I don't think the WWE is better, or has any kind of moral high ground because they don't do deathmatch style wrestling, or they don't let their women blade on TV. Should they have bled in that match? I don't know. It's their choice. I think the blood made that match far more interesting and memorable than had they not bled. If they didn't bleed, no one remembers that match. No one cares. Sometimes you got to prove yourself. Sometimes you got to show you're tough. Sometimes you got to show you can hang with everybody. And, Becky Lynch got very, very big after her face got bloodied up by Nia Jax. Same with Steve Austin. The blood trickling down his face when he's locked in the sharpshooter at WrestleMania with Bret Hart. That catapulted him to the next level. But, yeah, definitely WWE, I think what they're saying is we allowed more blading in the 90s, and now we tend to not want our guys to blade. And if you want to blade, you better have some damn good reason to do it and get it cleared, and it's not going to happen very often. And, if you're going to bleed, it's going to be real. I mean, with Becky Lynch, Nia Jax punched her in the face, and she bled for real. So usually in the WWE, they don't blade as much as AEW, but for them to say, oh, well, that's just disgusting, and we're, whatever. It's two different wrestling companies. WWE likes to paint themselves as better or more appealing to sponsors or TV, which, as a business, I think they should. Right? Why would the WWE say, oh, well, AEW's a better TV product and they're more appealing than us? I mean, no, they're going to say we're more appealing and we are, more kid-friendly. And, yeah, I mean, WWE is far more kid-friendly than AEW. AEW, they're swearing all the time. And there's a lot of, there's more violence, right? More violence in AEW, for sure. And Doug's saying that they dropped the Brood's bloodbath on Miz and Maurice. Yeah, but I don't know if you noticed that it wasn't red. And they never said blood. The Brood music played. They, if you know from the 90s that they used to do a bloodbath, no one ever said bloodbath. When they dropped that black liquid, quite frankly, it was not red. It was black liquid on Miz and Maurice. Now, Edge came out with the Brood song, and he acted like he did in the Brood. So the audience that knows is making the connections. But the WWE, they made very sure for that not to be a bloodbath. That's why it came off kind of lame. Because it was the liquid was not red, it was black. No one said blood, no one said bloodbath. Edge didn't even have fangs in his teeth, That was not real vampire stuff. Gangrel wasn't there, so it's not official. But, the WWE made very sure to not have that be a blood scene. Because they don't do that anymore. They don't. There's very limited blood in the WWE, and if you see it, it's because somebody got cut for real. And if you see, real color, gushing down the face, it's going to be somebody in high standing with the company. Like, if Brock and Roman at Mania, one of them might bleed. The match might call for some blood, and one of them might slice the themselves open with a razor blade to get that effect. They might, but probably not. Blading is not something that's done very much in the WWE at all. And in AEW, it is done a lot. They're not wrong about that. And, the blood, like you look at the Danielson-Hangman match, the second one where Hangman won, the blood, both of those guys bladed in that match, right? They each had a razor blade and they cut themselves in the head. They cut themselves in the head to produce blood for effect for a wrestling match, right? And it did add the effect, and it did add drama, and it worked. Sometimes, it works, and it helps. But maybe it's a crutch, and maybe, it's... I mean, would you do it? I wouldn't want to do that. I would have a real problem with taking a razor blade and cutting my own forehead. I think that would be difficult to do. Now, a lot of people do it, but it doesn't seem like something that you should be doing, right? Franco wants to know if you can get infections from that. I don't know. But it's, it does seem something a bit archaic that maybe we shouldn't be doing anymore. But at the same time, when I see the wrestlers do it, like Bryan and Hangman, and it adds effect to the match, I go, yeah, well, it's part of wrestling, isn't it? It's tough. On the one hand, I think, taking a razor blade to your head is probably not a good idea. But then getting dropped on your head or, taking a superplex or a bump or anything, also not a good idea. It's part of the game. You're taking punishment on your body. It's part of the punishment. It's an odd part of punishment, right? Harold says it's just like any open wound. Infection's always possible. It's not usually like a big, gash, though, what they do. They take a razor blade and it's a slit, right, usually right. You dig in about a little bit and then you go, and then you get it and the blood, hopefully, starts to come down. From what I understand, I don't even think it's that wide. I think you just do a little nick, really. I think it's just like a short. Obviously, I've never done it. Don't ask me, ask Ric Flair. That guy knows how to blade. All right, why are we talking about blood? What else are we talking about here on Raw? Did anything else happen? Did I catch it all? Omos beat Reginald in a squash match with a choke bomb. Tozawa, Truth, and Tamina ran into the ring chasing after Dana Brooke, who's a 24/7 champion and also Reginald's friend. Reginald tried to use a distraction to attack Omos from the top rope, but Omos just grabbed him and choked him with the choke bomb, and that was it. Maurice cuts an in-ring promo. By herself, she says her husband runs his mouth and agrees to things that he shouldn't. Beth Phoenix and Edge come out, and Maurice says that they have to cancel the match at the Rumble because she doesn't want to wrestle, and she knows Beth doesn't really want it, and they should be friends. They shouldn't be wrestling. They should go have coffee and talk it over. She doesn't want to fight with Beth. Beth tells Maurice to shut up, and she wants to fight right now. Beth's kind of a bully. Maurice versus Beth Phoenix. Beth Phoenix wins easily. Maurice is like, can we please not fight? And Maurice is like, I don't care. I'm going to fight you right now. Like, Beth is kind of mean, but, it was all a ruse from Maurice, of course, because The Miz shows up, attacks Edge from behind, which distracts Beth Phoenix, which allows Maurice to hit Beth Phoenix with her bag. I think it was a bag. And then Miz and Maurice escape, and it turns out that in the bag there was a brick that she hit Beth Phoenix with. And then later on, Miz and Maurice are backstage, and they talk about attacking Edge and Beth. And Miz says next week there's going to be a Maurice birthday celebration. And then they kissed for a while, and that was the end of their little promo. A Maurice birthday celebration. Ouch. I don't know how that's going to go next week. I could bet Edge and Beth Phoenix will make an appearance, though, and that match, Edge and Beth, husband and wife versus husband and wife, Edge and Beth versus Miz and Maurice, going down at the Royal Rumble. Angela wants to know, is the Elimination Chamber taking place in Saudi Arabia? Yeah, it is, in February. Elimination Chamber will be in Saudi Arabia in February. And, yeah, we got Rumble here, February, and then after that, it should be Mania. I discussed that on the Friday night show after SmackDown. I'll be back here this Friday after SmackDown with Johnny North, of course. I'll be back Wednesday night as well after Dynamite with Johnny North. The Mysterios and the Street Profits beat Apollo Crews, Commander Aziz, and the Dirty Dogs. Montez got the pin on Apollo. Then the Mysterios tossed the Street Profits over the top rope after the match because it's the Rumble season and they're all in the Rumble, so they're just, pretending they're in the Royal Rumble. It doesn't make sense. And then Ray tosses Dominic over the top rope just to teach Dominic a lesson about the Royal Rumble. It's like, yeah, man, but we're not in the Royal Rumble. Could you not throw me out of the ring, Dad? I might have got hurt. Ha! You got to learn your lesson, son. What? Okay. The crowd kind of liked Ray tossing Dominic over the top rope, though. They were kind of like, oh, that's interesting, but I don't think it's going to lead to anything. It was just promo for the Rumble. This whole match was just a Rumble promotion. A Brock Lesnar, Bobby Lashley video package aired. It was like UFC style, kind of talking about their whole career and their history and their upbringing and stuff. It was pretty good. The Brock Bobby video package. That's all we saw of Brock tonight. There was no Brock Lesnar on the show. No Brock. No Big E. No AJ Styles. But we did get Vince. We got a solid promo from the Alpha Academy. Solid promo from Becky. Solid stuff from Edge and Beth Phoenix even. Kevin Owens with a good promo with Seth and then a good promo with Damian and a good match with Damian Priest. Alpha Academy, again, very good. Vince's promo with Austin Theory, threatening Austin Theory. That was something. Austin Theory beat Finn Balor in the match, pinned him after his finisher. Theory took a selfie with Finn after the match and attacked him. That match was good. The Rhea Ripley, Nikki Ash stuff, was all right. Dana Brooke and Reginald with Omos was probably the low point of the show. Maurice's promo was convincing. It was not bad. The main event was good. Alexa Bliss at her psychiatrist's office, also a low point. But everything else, Seth and Bobby in the main event, not a bad episode of Raw. All in all, not too bad. Doug Hepburn wants to know, will the women have a chamber match? Saudis might not like that. I mean, they did have women's matches, if not one, maybe even two women's matches in Saudi Arabia already, so I don't think it'll be a problem. I think they might have a women's chamber match. I hope that they do. They should. It's the Elimination Chamber. They should have a men's match and a women's match, and if they can't do that in Saudi Arabia, they shouldn't go to Saudi Arabia. Right? I think that's the main point. If you're going to a country that doesn't allow women to have their matches, I think that's a country you probably shouldn't go to then. How about protecting your wrestlers over the bottom line and the dollar bills, right? But that doesn't seem to be the WWE's MO. I mean, they'll let their guys get kidnapped for another trip to Saudi Arabia. They don't really care. Always weird in Saudi Arabia. The thing that I still don't understand about Saudi Arabia, I mean, I get it. It's a religious thing, but well, maybe it's the religious thing I don't understand. Maybe I shouldn't talk about it, but I'm going to because, but like the dudes, they can all come out in their little Speedos with like basically nothing on. All the man wrestlers, Randy Orton, his little Speedos and his little boots, right? That's all he's wearing. These guys are basically nude, no problem. As many semi-nude men, mostly nude men, let's be honest, except for penis, you're basically seeing everything on these guys. So that's fine. But women, you can't even see their forearms. Like, the women in general are wearing more than the men because they're wearing tops. If they weren't wearing tops, it'd be a totally different show. But, right, like, the women per square inch are wearing more clothing than the man. Yet, when they go wrestle in Saudi Arabia, they have to wear, like, a T-shirt over their wrestling gear and long sleeves. And, like, you could see their hands, I think, maybe, and that's it. Like, their faces. They don't have to cover their heads when they wrestle. But their hands, you can see their hands, I think. But you can't see any of their arms or legs or midsection or chest area, right? Like the women, they wear like small tops and like small shorts a lot of the times. Not in Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia, they're like, no, you cover up everything, women. Men, be as naked as you want over here, boys. It's fine. No problem. What's that about? Like, it's 2022 and they're still like, no. I don't want to see an arm. It's like too much. I can't handle arms. You can't handle a woman in a T-shirt? It's strange. Long sleeves only. It's a religious thing, I suppose, you know. But these women here, that's the thing. Like, it's fine if you're part of that religion and that's what you want to do. But to impose your religious values on other people who are coming to your country to entertain you, it seems a little bad. And, you know, WWE should kind of step in and say, hey, they're going to wear their normal gear, okay? Saudi Arabia could be like, well, no. Be like, listen. They wear their normal gear that they wear on TV. Everybody wears their normal gear. Everybody gets to wrestle. Sami Zayn gets to wrestle. Everybody gets to wrestle here. Or we don't go to Saudi Arabia. And Saudi Arabia could say, okay, you could do what you want. Or they could say, okay, well then don't go. And then WWE could not go. And they would take far less heat than they do for going to Saudi Arabia. And their talent might be a little bit happier, you know? They would probably be out several $1 million, though, which they don't want. They don't want that at all. Because it's a publicly traded company, and, you know, stockholders need to see a profit, and it's complicated. It's very complicated. But, again, it's hard to blame the WWE for doing business with the Saudis when pretty much every Western government does business with the Saudis as well and sells them, you know, arms. And not, you know, forearms that you're not allowed to see. I'm talking about, you know, armored vehicles, guns, rockets, shit like that. Right? If we're selling them guns and armored vehicles, can we really shit on Vince for selling them some wrestling? Right? What's the Canadian government selling to Saudi Arabia in 2022? You know, how much money is the Canadian government taking from the Saudi government this year? How much did they take in last year? Right? I mean, all right. This has all been good. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. We love you. Who's winning? Who's winning the thing? Lauren wants to know where Ben is. I already talked about that. He's not here because of COVID things. He was exposed to somebody who was exposed to somebody with COVID. So he's not here, even though the curfew is over. But it's a snowstorm, and about this time I would have probably been wrapping up the show, and then I'd drive him home afterwards. But I'd have to dig my car out. So now I don't have to dig my car out. Although I probably still will go dig my car out so that my son can get to preschool tomorrow in the morning. All right. It's been rough. It's been a rough few days here at the Ringside Report main area. With me. It's been rough for me. But we're getting through it, hopefully. All right. Shout out to Doug Hepburn. You're the super chat leader. Shout out to Harold Schneider for dropping a super chat as well. Appreciate you. All the members. Shout out to Angelo. Shout out to Doug. Yeah, Angelo saw my video that I posted on Twitter today with my son. I was out in the snow. And I'm exhausted. Like, it was a lot, you know? Dragging that kid around in a sled in the snow for a while. It was a lot. It was fun. It was fun. It was fun for sure. It was fun for sure. But, you know, when you do, like, a lot of activity, like I did a lot of shoveling and digging the car out. I got to go dig it out a second time because it was so much snow. It was a massive snowstorm. So I was shoveling the stairs and the walkway and, you know, shoveling the car and cleaning the car, then bringing my son around in the snow and a lot of snow time activities. And it was fun. It was a good time. But then at a certain point, you kind of crash and you don't have any more energy because you've used it all. Yet, I made it here for you guys somehow. Silent by Deadly is grateful for the time. Well, thank you, Silent by Deadly. And I appreciate you always putting on the chat there. You know, thank you for this. Thank you for the time. I appreciate you thanking us and appreciating the work. Glad that it doesn't go unnoticed. And the members as well. Angelo, Doug, keeping the show going. Harold, keeping me going. Keeping me awake here. Keeping me company on a Monday night. All right. After Dynamite, I will be back. Tuesday night, I get a night off. Wednesday night, I'm back after Dynamite with Johnny. Thursday night, I'll be back here with Freddie and AJ. We'll be previewing UFC 270. That'll be a lot of fun. Friday night, back here with Johnny after SmackDown, talking SmackDown and AEW Rampage. And then Saturday night, we will be doing the UFC 270 watch-along. Francis Ngannou, Cyril Gane. Main event, Brandon Moreno, Davison Figueiredo in the co-main event. UFC 270, big-time pay-per-view coming up Saturday night. Freddie and AJ will be along for the ride here on the Ringside Report Network. Saturday night, 10 p.m. Eastern Time for the UFC 270 watch-along. It's going to be a big old pay-per-view. So a big week coming up here on the Ringside Report Network. Thank you, everybody. And, yeah, we'll talk to you again after Dynamite.